My name is Paul. I was a first-year student, class K60, majoring in international economics. This story began in my very first year of college. And even now, I don't dare tell anyone about it. On the first day of class, I arrived late. The room was crowded. Every seat was taken. Every seat, except the very last desk by the window. A girl was sitting there alone. She wore a white blouse. Her hair was neatly tied back. Her face looked gentle, almost too gentle. I leaned closer and whispered, "Is this seat taken?" She smiled and nodded. Her name was Anna. Same major. Same year. Her voice was soft, strangely distant, like it echoed from somewhere far away. She took notes quickly. Perfect handwriting. Too neat. Too consistent. From that day on, I sat next to Anna every class. She didn't talk much, but in a noisy lecture hall, her silence felt comforting. She always chose the back seat by the window. In the library, she sat in hidden corners where sunlight barely touched the desk. Just enough to read, just enough to stay unseen. One day I asked her, "Why don't you sit with the others?" She smiled softly and said, "I'm used to sitting in the back. No one notices. It's quieter that way." Then she added, almost like a whisper, "And quieter is better." I didn't ask more, but there was something strange. Anna was always the last one to leave. Every afternoon, I stayed late. I'd see her still sitting there, staring out the window, as if waiting for someone. I joked, "Aren't you afraid the security will lock the doors?" She turned to me and smiled. A smile so faint it felt like it dissolved into the air. "No," she said. "I'm waiting for someone I know. They promised they'd come get me." From that moment on, I found myself staying late with her. She was kind, gentle, polite, but sometimes I felt like she was living in a world just beside mine, close enough to touch, yet impossibly far away. One day, the professor asked me to move closer to the front. There was an empty seat. I turned around to ask Anna to move with me, but the back desk was empty. Her chair was slightly pulled out. On the desk, her pen, and an old notebook wrapped in plastic. I looked around and asked quietly, "Hey, have you seen Anna?" They stared at me, confused. "Anna? Who's that?" That night, I checked everything. The attendance list, the class roster, the group chat. No one named Anna existed. My hand started shaking. If there was no Anna, then who had been sitting next to me for an entire month? And why did everyone act like she had never existed at all? I couldn't sleep. Her smile, her voice, her silhouette by the window. The next morning, I decided to ask my homeroom teacher. When I mentioned the name Anna, my teacher froze. She opened her laptop, typed for a long moment. Then she said slowly, "Class K60, International Economics. There was a student named Anna Mayer." She paused, but she passed away. 2 weeks after enrolling, she was hit by a vehicle right outside the campus gate. I couldn't breathe. The teacher showed me Anna's student ID photo. It was her face. The same face, only colder. "Empty," she said quietly. "The back desk by the window, that was where she used to sit." After I changed seats, I stopped seeing Anna. Gradually, I forgot, until one night, a Vienna rainstorm. I was about to study when I realized my documents were missing. I clearly remembered putting them in my backpack. I took a bus back to campus. It was almost 6 p.m. The classroom was dim. Hallway lights cast long shadows through the door. I searched my seat. Nothing. Then, without meaning to, I looked toward the back. The chair Anna used to sit on was pulled out, tilted toward me, as if someone had just stood up. On the desk was my missing document. I walked closer, opened it. On the last page, written in fresh ink, "I'm waiting for you to come get me." The ink was still wet. A cold wind rushed in through the window. The sound of a chair scraping echoed beside me. I turned around. The seat was empty, but on the wall, reflected by the flickering light, there were 2 shadows. One was mine. The other was someone sitting at the back desk. I ran. Footsteps followed. Soft, steady, never more than half a meter behind me. The hallway lights flickered. Each time they flashed on, the shadow behind me was closer, closer, right behind my back. The lights went out. Total darkness. A whisper brushed my ear, cold as winter wind. You promised. You'd copy notes from me. I turned. Anna was standing there. Her hair soaked and dripping onto the floor. Her eyes deep black, endless. She smiled. Her mouth was torn open, all the way to her ears. This time, she said, "Don't leave me sitting alone." Everything went black. The next morning, the classroom was open. The back desk by the window had two chairs placed closely together. No one was sitting there, and no one ever saw Paul again. So tell me, where you think Paul is now?